Hi, I'm Amanda Skelton, an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and today I'd like to show you this beautiful card. It looks quite complicated, but it's actually quite easy to make. So this is the card flat, but when you tip it up or stand it up, it actually is a really nice 3D card, and then you've got all of these panels here. I've seen different names for this, a pinwheel card, a tower card, so I don't know, I'm going to call it a tower pinwheel card. So it's really nice, and then it folds flat and it will fit into a standard C6 envelope. So this is a 4x6 card. So it's really good. The thing to bear in mind when you're doing this card really is the amount of layers you've got, because it will make it, the more you add and embellish on here, and if you then start using foam pads and things like that, or gems, etc., it will make it more bulky, so just be considerate of that when you're thinking about if you need to send it especially. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do today. So I'm using the Pansy Patch bundle, which is the Escaping From Me, which is the stamp set and the matching dies. And you can see there are a lot of pieces to both the stamps and the dies, so there's a lot of combinations you can get. So we're going to use those, and we're going to use some of the nice designer series paper, which is called Pansy Petals, and this is one of each of the sheets, and as you can see they're really nice and detailed. You've just got a nice leaf on there, and then if you turn them over, you've got sort of like the checked and a more plain, so that doesn't have to be anything at all to do with flowers, and you've got some quite nice male colours there as well here. The bonus of this paper in particular is if I get two of the dies from the set, they fit on the large and the small flowers on this sheet of the DSP. So if you can't be bothered to do the stamping or don't want to buy the stamp set, and you can just use this paper, so that's a really nice alternative way of using this paper, or you can just use it as a background. Okay, so what do we need to start this card? So let's get all of our pieces together. There's quite a few pieces you need, but most of them are the same size, just multiples of them. So your base card that's going to create the base for the panels is, so I'm calling this sort of card stock 1, so you can have different colours if you like. On this one obviously I've got the Evening Evergreen cardstock, which is one of the in colours, and then I've got the I've forgotten what they're called, Soft Succulents. Let me do them so I can see the colours. Soft Succulents as my cardstock 2, and then DSP, and then other embellishments. So my cardstock 1 is polished pink, and that needs to measure 4 inches by 6.5 inches. And then you want to measure in across the top at 1/2 inch in, 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches, and 3.5 inches. Okay. And then to make the extra leaves of the card, got one missing, you need 3 pieces of, again, cardstock 1, 3 pieces of this, which is 4 inches by 3 inches, and they're going to become, they're basically the same size as that panel there. So you need 3 of those. And then we want to decorate each of the panels. So you want 4 pieces of cardstock 2. I'm using white here, but it can be any colour that you think will match nicely to create your layer. So you want 4 pieces of this, and this is 3 3/4 inch by 2 3/4 inch. And then you want 4 pieces of designer series paper, again to add on to your layers. And you want 4 of these, and these are 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches. So that is these panels dealt with, and now you've got these smaller panels here. So again, you want your cardstock 2, so your extra colour. You want 4 of these again, and these need to measure 1 3/4 inch by 3 3/4 inch. And then you want some designer series paper, again to go on top of those. So again, 4 of those, 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Now I've actually used the alternate side of the paper that I'm using here. You don't have to. You've got loads of different patterns in the designer series paper pack, or you could just keep it plain or choose something else. But it's quite nice, as you can see here. It's just quite nice to have a contrast on there. And then I've got an extra piece of card here. So on the back of the card, I've created this white panel here so that you can write your wishes and things on there. And that is let me just check that. I think that's 2.25 inches by 3.25 inches. So that'll go on top of one of those layers there, like that. Right, okay. You'll also need some scraps of card as well. I mean, I'm using the New In colours here, so I've got a selection here to do your details for your flowers and your sentiment. So that's what you'll need there, and you obviously need your inks as well. Okay, so let's start off by making the main panel, or the main card base, should I say. So we've scored it, so you can get your bone folder and you can fold all of your scored lines like that, and then you're going to want to glue that 1/2 inch to the back. So quite a good way of doing it, so to make sure it's going to fold flat when it's actually all completely assembled, I'd put glue on. I'm going to put glue on there, and then I'm going to hold it here so it's flat, and then that's how I'm going to do it. And then I know it's going to be nice and square when I pop it up, and I also know it's going to be nice and flat when it comes to folding it for putting it in an envelope. I'm going to use tape glue for this, just because it's quicker. But you can use wet glue if you'd like. So only want to fold over 2 of the sections, don't fold over those, otherwise you won't have your square. So just 2 of those, and then you have your instant section there. Okay, now you want to add on your 3 extra panels to make the rest of the leaves of it. Okay, so basically we're going to go round one by one, adding a leaf on there, there and there. And for this I am going to use wet glue, just so I can position it into position. Try and make sure it goes right up to the front ledge, just so that it sticks nicely. Give it a good press down. Make sure you've got your top and bottom nice and even, and then you want to just press it all in so it's all nice and tight, making sure it's nice and tight in there. Ooh. So that's the thing with this, you can manoeuvre into position. Make sure it's all nice and pressed in. Again, you can see the gap there, just make sure that's pressed in. And because this is wet glue, it doesn't take too long to set this, but I would definitely make sure it's set before you start adding the other leaves. Otherwise, when you put this leaf on there and start trying to butt this up, it ends up pushing this piece away from the central section. So don't need to be in too much of a rush with this, just make sure you keep pressing it all along so it's all nice and tight. Okay, so once you've done that section, you can then carry on with the other leaves. Again, just get it all nice and tight into the middle section. Just push your fingers on the top and the bottom, that will just make sure it's nicely lined up with the top and the bottom. And then just give it a press in again. gluey fingers now. That's always the way, isn't it? Okay. Oh. I'll just get rid of that a little bit. And then get your last section. And then again, just press it in. So when you can see it there, just make sure you press the insides in. I'm just going to put another bit of glue in there because that piece really isn't wanting to adhere. That's better. I'm trying to get glue off my hands, and then just give it a nice press all down the inside. If you want to, a common thing I use is pegs. I often hold it together with a peg if you don't want to sit there holding it for too long. You can see I've got far too much glue there now, but anyway, that'll be enough to hold it. And then it should stand up nice and straight like that. All your edges nice and flush with the central column. There you go. So that's your main construction section. So we'll put that to the side for the minute. So now we're going to basically create the panels for here. So we'll create the bases for that first. So these are going to be the 4 larger sections. And again, I'm just going to use my tape glue, doing one at a time. Make sure you've got the right DSP side up that you've chosen. And also, this one, for example, has got a definite right way up. Now, it doesn't matter which way up it goes, but as long as you put them all the right way, otherwise you're going to have one piece upside down. So you just want to keep an eye on that, depending on what pattern you've used. Now for this one, it doesn't really matter. So you just want to offer that up and centre that, so you've got even edges. Looks about right there. I'm going to do this for all 4. So I would say probably the hardest part of all, the most time consuming part of this is probably cutting all the pieces in the first place. But at least they're all the same size, well, you've got multiple pieces of the same size, so it's not too complicated. It just becomes a bit of a factory, really. So if you're in a cutting mood, it might be as good an opportunity to do multiples, and then you can construct multiple cards at the same time. Alright, those 4 panels, and then we can do the same for the smaller panels as well. So those 4 are done. And again, make sure that you've got them the right way round, because I want these contrasting. I'm going to be actually gluing on the side, opposite side of what I've just done for the others. And again, just centre them on the panels. 4 of these. Again, no right way up for this cardstock or this paper, so you haven't got to worry about it being the right way up. But until you glue it onto the main part, actually, it won't be a problem either. the last one done. Okay, so that's your main panels. So what we can do now is add those on. So again, I'm going to use the glue tape just for ease of time really. So much quicker to attach it. Okay, so I'm just going to get one at a time. Again, offer it up to the base. Give it a good press. So again, 4 of these to do. Actually, that's not a bad way of doing it. It's quite a good way to leave the base on its side like that, and then you can manoeuvre the panel that you're adding a little bit easier because you haven't got to worry about holding the actual base. Right, last one. There you go. So now we want to repeat the same again for the small panels with our alternating pattern. You just want to make sure that your edges line up, because that's probably what you'll notice more than anything, making sure that your tops and bottoms line up. Nearly there. Oh, glue sticks run out. Just a minute. Right, let's go for this one instead. Oh. That's when you open a new one, it's always a bit more lively, isn't it, than the old one that's fading out. Final one, and then we can have the fun of trying to decorate it. Right, okay, so that is predominantly the main part of your card, okay, and you can decorate this as much as you like. I haven't decorated any of these panels just because it's quite a busy pattern, and probably similar here actually, but I'll give you an idea of some of the techniques I've used here and some of the pieces of the Pansy Patch bundle, and you can go to your heart's content on this one really. You can really add loads, but again, just remember about the bulk of it once you fold it. So we'll go on now to do some decorating. So what I've done is I've got a sort of where the sentiment is, I've sort of got that as my front of the card, and therefore on the back section, that's where I've got my white piece where you can write your wishes on the back. So that's what I'm going to do to start with. This here is a shape from the smooth sailing dies, and it's this piece here, and it's a really good label type die. So that's what I'm going to use from that one, and that's still in the current catalogue, so you can still get hold of that. But it's something that I've really overlooked actually as part of that die set, but now I've discovered it, I'm using it quite a lot for my adding my sentiments on. So that's what I'm going to start with first. So let's start with my sentiments. So there's quite a few sentiments actually in this set. There's a thank you, happy birthday, love you much, etc. So there's quite a nice set of sentiments in there. I'm going to have happy birthday just because I tend to use a lot more happy birthdays. And I'm going to pick out, I think, the pink for the ink and I think the purple for the flower. So I've got polished pink ink. It's not that piece, that's the panel for the back. This is where you want your extra pieces of white cardstock, or whichever cardstock you want to, whatever cardstock you want to use as your sentiment. And I just put my die on there just so I can roughly gauge where it's going to go. And you can actually stamp while the die is in place if you want to. So that's that one. Right, so I can get rid of that stamp for the moment. And then we're going to want to do some die cutting. So let me just get the die cutting machine. All right. First of all, let's cut out this sentiment. It's a really nice fine line, the sentiment on this. It's really quite nice. And because you're going to have, well, it depends how you want to arrange it, but because I'm going to have the flower here, you can afford to have the writing a little bit further left if you like, or centre it, but I'll try and centre it. So put your top layer on. Pass it through your cut and emboss machine. And there we have our sentiments. So let's keep that to one side for the moment. And then we want to make our flower. So this is where you're going to want your different colours of cardstock and dies. So I'm going to do the base white here. I think I'm going to do the purple. Actually, I think I'm probably going to do the same colours as this, but apart from doing the evening evergreen, I'm probably going to do the soft succulent, just because this card is a lot paler than this card. So very similar, but just slightly different. So we want this piece here for the white, oh no we don't, this piece here for the white background. We'll want this piece here for the purple front of the colour, and we'll want this one here for the stem. So we'll take those three out for now. So we've got the white here. You want the larger of the two flower parts for white. That piece there, which is handy to use up. We like to be frugal, make sure we get the most of our paper. Okay, so that's one piece. Then we want some purple. For the small part of the flower. And these are really nice. I don't know if you can see. You can see the indentation as part of the die, so it's embossing and die cutting at the same time, which are really nice on these dies. They've just got such nice detail. So that's the next part, and then we want soft succulent cardstock for the the stem. Okay. So there we have the 3 components for the first bit of detail. So we have so it doesn't really matter at this point what you want to choose as your first one, so I'm going to probably put that there, and then your white piece will go down first. What I'll do is I'll stick all the pieces of the flower together first and then we'll add it on afterwards. Put the flower sort of like that. So that's how I'm going to do that. Okay, so let's start gluing the flower. So I'm just going to put a bit of wet glue on this one, and then you just want to place your detail on top of it, just like that. And then you want to glue that one on top. So again, you just want to put another dot of glue along there. And then place that one on there. Then I'm just going to let that dry for a minute. And then we can glue our sentiment on. I'm going to put that sort of about halfway, maybe just below. And then the flower can just be above it. So stick your sentiment on about there, and then again I'm going to use glue just because it's such a fine stem, it'll be easier to control. Just a few dabs like that. I might even put that a little bit higher. Because it's got a white background on there, it just shows up more on the pattern, I think, rather than on the actual white sentiment. So just place that on there. Just give it a firm push down, just so it's nice and stuck onto the base. Okay, so that's that first one. What I'm going to do now is the back, just so you've got your front and back sorted, and then you can play around with the others. So this was the piece of card that I've got for the back section. We can add a bit of detail on there. You can add as much detail as you want. I quite like this cute little flower. So let me just put my bits and pieces away. So we have got 2 of the smaller pieces of the stamps. Let me find them on here. This piece and this piece to create the small flower, and then this little stem here. So that's what I'm going to use. And I'm going to use the same colour, but I'm going to stamp it off so that you get the 2 tones. You've got to be careful when you're adding 2 very different colours together that the colours will merge a little bit, so it doesn't always give you a nice clean colour. So I'm going to do this, I think, in, what did I do that one in? I think I'm going to do this in pink, just because I think it will show up a bit more. So I've got the more of the base of the little flower, so if you see that, and then I want to put that about there, and then I want to change that piece for the detailed. If I just show you there, so I stamped that one off first, so it's paler. This one, but if I just show you there, that's the detail, but you need to ink it again. If you stamp it off, it's going to be light again. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to add that on top of the previously one, and it just adds the detail. Really simple but really effective, I think, on that one. And then I'm going to use, I'm just using my scrubber to get everything clean, and then we're going to use this little stamp here, and I'm going to do this in the soft succulent. Again, I wanted the more pale pastel colours rather than the stronger colours, I think, on this one. So you just want to line that up with your flower. There you go. That just adds a really nice detail on top of where you're going to write your wishes. Right, okay, so that piece is done. We can glue that on, so that should be glued on now. So turn that one over completely. Ooh, losing it. Some would say I've lost it years ago, to be fair. Right, so we're going to glue that one on. So make sure you've got it on the back section. There you go. Okay, and then you can decorate the rest. So have I decorated all of them? Yes. So let me do this one first. So again, you'll need the dies for this. And again, I don't know if you can see the detail on here. It's just stunning in terms of the die cut and the embossing in one, which is great. So we'll need to go back to our dies again. And this time we want this die. I'm going to do that twice for these two flowers here. These two leaves. We're going to want to get this piece, which is going to be this detail here, and then we're going to want to do this piece, which is the main white background, and then we're going to want this piece, which is going to be this little detail in the middle. So like I said, there are a lot of pieces to this set, but it really is good. So what colour am I going to do that? I might do, I think I'm going to do pink. So I'm going to want white and pink card, and my embossing machine again, my cut and emboss. So let's do the white background piece first. So you want this piece here. So again, look at the detail. It's just stunning, isn't it? So then we want the coloured card. And we want two of these. Unfortunately, there's only one in the pack, but we can cut it twice. It's really unnerving, isn't it, when you hear the plates crackle like that? I always worry, but they're sturdy things. And again, the detail. So we want another one of those. Just make sure it stays on the card. Otherwise you'll end up with a partial cut and you won't end up with a nice scalloped edge. Second leaf. So we're finished with that die now. Then we can use that one for, look it on there. Oh look, I think it will. We do like to get the most out of our dies and our card. They look perfect. So just make sure it doesn't move when we put it on. then we have the edging there, and then we have some spare. Can we get that out of it as well? I don't think we quite can we? No. I think that's even a stretch just for me. So let's just put that one on there. Alright, make sure your plates are lined up as well. Right, last piece. Right, let's put that out of the way for the moment again. So now we have all the pieces we need for our big poppy. So how you're going to arrange it is you're going to want two sort of stuck together on behind. I'm going to put that one on the front, that one on the front again. It's a bit like a jigsaw, isn't it? And then that one in the middle. Okay, so that's what we're planning to do. So again, I'm going to use the wet glue just because it gives a bit more play in terms of where we want to move things to. These don't need to be too accurate in terms of where they go. So a bit of glue on the tops over there. Come back here. About there. Again, you don't have to be too precious about it in terms of how even it is. Okay, just a few dabs around. And then you want to put that on the edge, and again, using the wet glue means you can actually manoeuvre it around to get the edges right, so you can see, because you've got white below it, you can see quite easily if you haven't quite got it lined up. So you can keep manoeuvring it until you get it lined up. Okay, then the last piece is the little centre heart piece. I don't know if you can see, these two straight pieces pretty much fit along the edges of these two pieces coming down from the middle. But again, you don't have to be too precious about it. The important thing is that it looks centred. Okay, so I'm just going to let that dry for a minute. So that is our flower there, and what I've added here, you don't have to. Let me just get the set. There are these here, so you can die cut little centres, and that can go in the middle, so you can still do that with card if you like. But I really like these loose flower flourishes. So they come in 3 of the colours. They come in the pale papaya, fresh freesia, and the polished pink. And they've got large and small ones. And the small one is just a really nice size, just to fit in the middle of this flower. And I'm going to do this one, I think, in pale papaya. If I can find it. That's what I wanted, thank you very much. And that just really finishes it off with a little bit of a gem. So let me just put that to the side for the minute and let that fully dry, because otherwise my sticky fingers are going to be all over it. So now we can turn it over and we can do this one. So again, I'm trying to show you different techniques that you can make the flowers and the leaves, etc. You can do them just with stamping, you can do them with just die cutting with card, and you get very different results. So it's a really good opportunity to play with different options on this. So we've got again, a bit like we did on which ones did we do it on this flower. Again, we're going to do 2-stage stamping. So I've done it in the polished pink, and I've done the background first, stamped off so it's paler, and then the second one with the detail on top of it. So that's what I'm going to do again. And I think I might do this one in fresh freesia. So again, you want some white card, and we can use the dies as well to cut the outside of these on. So pale papaya we want. So I've got the background stamp, so you can see that there. And so I've stamped it off, and I'm going to put it onto this piece of card. You don't need to be too precious again about how perfect the stamp is, because you won't notice once you've got the top layer on. So now we've got the detailed die. We're not going to stamp this one off because we want it to be the darker colour. Apologies, I'm going to have to get my head above it to make sure that I've lined it up about right. Isn't that really effective? Really nice, that. Okay. And in the stamp set, in a similar way to the dies, there are these little tiny dots to do the inside with, and they are tiny, this one here. So we're just going to use that one just to finish off, and I'm going to use pale papaya for that one, just to finish that off. And it's sort of like a bit like a teardrop, but it's sort of the upside down shape. It just adds another dimension, doesn't it, by adding another colour, which is quite nice. Okay, I'm going to put that piece, I'm going to put that stamp straight back in because it's such a tiny piece. That is going to be lost in no time in my house, that's for sure. Okay, so that's probably the last of the stamping. We're going to die cut that in a minute. But then what we also want to do is die cut these, just got glue everywhere again, die cut these leaves as well, which will be nice. So again, I've got this dies, and sorry, these are absolute mess now, but we've got this larger piece here, and there's a smaller one there, but I'm going to use the larger one. And I'm going to use that one as well, I think. So you can layer these up. I haven't here, I've just got one each. But what you've got is you've got a front layer and a back layer. So you can do a paler colour below and a darker colour on top. A little bit like this is layered up. And again, they've got the same for the smaller size of the dies as well. So again, you can have your two-tone. But in this instance, I'm just going to use it to just create one each of the different ones. So I think I'm going to do the smaller ones. I think I'm going to do on this one. Okay. So am I going to do two tones? No, I think I'm going to keep one tone because I haven't got any dark green on here, so I'm just going to keep it to the two tones. So we want our soft succulent card again, and we want the dies. I also want the die that's going to fit on this one as well. So like I said, there's the two sizes of pansy there, so that's the one for there. Okay, so that's what I'll need. Get our die cutting machine out again. Getting a lot of use today. Okay, so let's cut these first. And because we've got two different dies, we can do them at the same time, which saves a little bit of time as well. Just be careful your dies do not go on top of each other, otherwise they'll break them. She says, hoping she hasn't done just that. Always try and give a bit of extra space. Oh, look how close they were. Very close. I shouldn't be so tight with my card, and then I won't risk damaging my dies. Okay, so you can see the nice detail in there once we've taken the paper out. Okay, so we'll use those in a minute. And now, final piece is this. So we're going to use the small poppy die. So this is the same one that will cut out the detail on the paper as well, the designer series paper. Right, then we can get rid of this machine completely now, and then we've got our pansy. And our leaf. You could have one on top, one on the bottom. I might do that actually, but it's such a nice flower. I might. Anyway, right, and we've got this one as well. So it doesn't matter which way around we do it. So let's start with our big pansy. I'm just going to place that one in the middle. Again, I'm going to use my tape for this. And you just want to place that one in the middle. And then turn it over, and that's where you've got your other blank. So I want to see where I want to place this, so I'm going to put that one in the middle. Actually, slightly to the left, I'm going to put it. Work out where. Yeah, maybe I will overlap it a little bit. So let's put that one on first. That one wants to go about there. You can see how this soon adds up in terms of the thickness when you start adding these on top of each other. Now, tiny bit of glue on this. Oh gosh, come here. Just need to make sure that the glue doesn't stick out through the front. And then I'm just going to add that one on there. Oh, that's quite nice on the front. And there we have it. We are finally done. So that is your tower card pinwheel. Folds flat to go into a 4x6 envelope. And that is the, well, that's what I've chosen to be the front. You turn it over and you've got that detail, and that detail. Like I said, you can go to town on this. You can decorate every single surface if you want to. But hopefully that's given you an idea of some of the things that you can do. Some of the things that you can do with the dice set and the stamp set. I have not gone anywhere near probably a sixth of the different combinations that you can do with all the different dies and all the different flowers. So, you know, we've used these two for the smaller. Haven't used these on this, so you can just see how much more detail you can get on this, and similar with the dies. So hopefully that's given you an idea how to use the Pansy Patch card stamp set. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you make some nice cards, and I'm sure your recipients will be very, very pleased with the results. As always, my details are on amandascraftedcards.stampinup.net, and I'm on Facebook as Amanda's Crafted Cards, and I'm on Pinterest as well. So you can always drop me a line if you're interested in the products. Again, amandascraftedcards.stampinup.net is where you can order the products from. Hope you've enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.